Do you agree, Marby?
I believe in our God Emperor Emperor on his his 7 solo kills in a game and I think this is going to be enough to carry him.
Okay, so 2 SBTC predictions. Analysts were wrong. No, analysts were actually right in the last game. So we might be looking at a 5-game day, and I think Kerrix and Rebel couldn't be happier looking at another game to cast.
Of course we are. We always are happy to have more VCS your way. But what happened in the draft phase, Rebel? Help.
That's a great question. I'm gonna be real right now. Like, this has got to be the most disgusting Talia pick I've ever seen in my life. You press E in a team fight, every member of SE has a dash. Every single one of them is going to be running through the rocks, stunning themselves. Yeah. That is hysterical to me. After the first three, I was like, I literally was like, that's that. They can't pick 5, right? They picked the first 3, and I'm like, they can't pick 5, right? They actually picked 5 champions with dashes into Talia. So Yijin, I think, like we were talking about the Renekton having some like lack of value potentially, or not being nearly as much. I think Coded being on Akali was like really good last split, showed off some really solid Akali play. I still think it's really difficult to get onto Slater in this game, but I think that Yijin has picked up a good amount of the carry potential, and this is a game for Yijin to really put his foot down and say, I can be the hyper carry for the team. I can be the person that everybody can rely on, which I think is something that we would like to see from Yijin, given how much, I know you've talked about it in the past, how touted he was as this like really, really highly valued prospect in a lot of people's eyes. And if you can come out and have a performance that wins them in a 2-0 against SE here, I think it would be a very, very big way to kind of burst onto the scene.
Yeah, I certainly agree. He has a lot of the keys to the castle, for sure. Whether he can unlock it is going to be really interesting. Dia1 is in a rough position. This is such a horrible matchup for Silas. Like, you just don't exist.
Yeah, I know our analysts didn't like. We always like to joke about the Renekton. Ryuk is gone. We don't have to have that kind of trauma anymore.
Slater.
Oh!
He's dead!
Welcome back, celebrity. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Last game we had Vinboys in, and I wasn't sure if that was a permanent thing for the series or not, whether Celebrity was around or if they were just trying something out. But obviously, Celebrity, well-versed on the Kalista, already showing up inside of this game number 2, getting an immediate kill against Slater, who burnt both the summoners as well. That's a great start for SE.
I have to say, I hope we get a replay. I assume it's just a bandage landing. And so, like, Cleanse obviously very good against a Moo, but not perfect, because you cleanse the first bandage and he's still got a second one. So things are a little bit rough down for the bot lane. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's just going to be a bandage.
Yeah, probably hit level 2 pretty quickly here is what likely. Actually, he caught it right before the level 2, so they were thinking they're going to get away. The real question is, how did the second part he got baited back into it. What are we doing? That's unfortunate. Wasn't expecting the second bandage. Good call by you, kind of predicting that was exactly what was going to happen and precisely what occurs right there.
Dia1 taking some damage.
Really good
apparently
angle.
Not thinking about it. Oh, and no, Dia thinks there's no jungler around, but of course there is. He gets popped back. No, he flashes away, and Dia1 will survive.
Yeah, but that is a re-gankable lane if I've ever seen one before. Like you said, this is already going to be rough enough for Dia1. He's down about 10 CS, going to be down about an entire wave after this one is taken. Ignite and Flash still available for Blazes, and they burnt that defensive summoner. So while bottom lane, that was a really nice play, burning both the sums of Slater and getting the kill on a Celebrity. That mid lane is a place you have to look to target. Blazes is just really trying to piss off LS today. You get the Renekton pick, and you get the Executioner's first item as the purchase. I know it's good into the Silas, but somebody out there, if we happen to get like a little bit of a raid from some LS fans, I know they're going to be a little peeved about this.
Yeah, LCK, please go long. Contain them. Keep our chat sacred. Oh, my word. Yeah, no, this is definitely a rough position for Dia1, though. Renekton, funnily enough, it's actually not terrible at the moment. I don't necessarily think he's pickable. But he's a lot stronger than he was when he was still getting picked every game. So he's actually not a horrible champion right now. So I think Blazers actually is enabled to be a pretty strong force to buy enough time for Slater, Coded, and Yujin to take over. Oh, I think I might have cursed him, but he tries to turn it around onto Dia1. The big heal comes in from the Color Week. DNK can't step up. Blaze is just bearing down. The reset comes in for DNK, so Blazers does their stuff. Oh, hello, DNK! Killer Instinct comes in clutch as he moves on in and kills himself a croc.
Yeah, really unfortunate. I think Blazes was trying to time out his cooldowns right there, because if he gets the Q back up and he's able to get between those two, that's almost certainly goes his way as the Renekton. And I want to kind of see what that was looking like. He had the Enhanced right there, was able to get a good amount of damage, has the Stack Conqueror right now, which is what buys him so much time. It's this Q right here that does all the work. Look at that. The Shift of Hell, the knocking DNK down to half, DL1 ignited. As soon as that turns off, they're willing to turn. He flashes out and just has to bail pretty much, but he goes back to his wave. DNK has the flash and the E to be able to capitalize on it. Again, it was really well played from Blazes right up until it wasn't at the last possible second where DNK is able to punish with his flash.
For sure, but again, you can see that Blazes has the blood in his eyes. He's got that bloodlust, and he will use everything he can to get this Renekton ahead early, even though it hasn't quite worked out, as Enpa lands a good stun, but Coded is, of course, playing the Akali. It's just going to be a bit of a trade back and forth. These early Gnar ults are generally just used as a bit of damage. Not really going to find too many kills. It is now a 1k gold lead for SE, as D1 gets away. Doesn't know Yijin's there yet. As he gets stunned, can he get popped back? He does. Has a dominus of his own. As he moves on forward, he's just going to try and kill Blazes, but pulls off. But he manages to fend off the play and survive. That's exactly what you want to see.
Well played right there from D1 to make sure he doesn't fall to that. A little bit of an added pressure right there, trying to take advantage of it while the flash is still down. Unfortunately, Yijin not able to tag with enough damage as DNK up the top side, trying to punish Coded. Set up Enper for a little bit more. I think he should have the safety for this. Yeah, not even going to tag the Q. Actually, they get nothing onto him right there. Well played by Coded. Well spaced by him. He's still just taunting away everybody right now.
Yeah, I think they are. Like, DNK's just here sort of making sure Enper can get a good shove in. I think he has a back timing in mind. Or he's going to go for a lane gank. Would certainly be unexpected. No, he just backs off. Yep. Enper's just going to shove this wave in. No problems there. And as I was trying to say before we had another flurry of action, it's about a 1.5k lead for SE. What is the number you're looking for that you're not worried about the scaling on GE?
There's like breakpoints. I think 4K is usually my breaking point. As soon as you hit 4K in a game like this, it feels like you should have enough agency with your champions, especially if the gold is allotted in the right place, that no longer does SE really have to worry about, like, okay, we should be in a down position as long as the fight is set up properly, as long as our tools aren't just wasted, right? Like if you get a good engage, if you get a good ult, like a Fate's Call, things like that, if DO1's able to get a fight and not just get blown up, things are perfectly fine as long as you've got that 3-4K advantage, which comes about from like first Rift Herald, usually first tower going down. That usually is more than enough to be sufficient to be able to generate a type of advantage like this. As Yijin is kind of around his bottom side, we're getting a fight.
Palette's been caught out a little bit with the Fate's Call. They want to keep this one going. Celebrity has to flash, but he saves his support.
Actually, very, very good call from Celebrity, just being less aggressive, not wanting to throw his Palette to his death right there around that dragon, because you know that if that fight is taken first off, I think SE burnt too much at the beginning of that, trying to get some kind of kill, and would have certainly lost that fight, even with the reinforce from DNK. And if that's the case, and they lose that fight immediately, that's almost certainly just going to have to be Dragon traded for the Rift Herald. They got taken on top side of Slater. Gotta get to the wall.
He's been caught. He has the wall to zoom on over, but Celebrity wants to keep it going. The flash comes out from Slater. DNK doesn't want to keep it going, but this will be Dragon now for SE.
Yes, it will, as Rift Herald is actually traded to the other side, which is interesting because, again, I would have suspected that SE would have really wanted to play for the Rift Herald in an attempt to get this gold lead kind of maximized so they could continue to fight with this big AoE fight like they set up in the previous game with DNK being ahead on the Diana. But instead, they go for the Dragon. They say, okay, Dragon stacking, we could try to goad them into fighting.
Coming out from Coded. This is a scrap. Enput going very low, but Coded's not too healthy himself. He has the primed auto attack. The E is thrown. Yeah, he can't keep this one going. Enpa now moving forward, but misses the boomerang. Ooh, these top laners playing by the heads on their chinny chin chin, but both of them will walk away. Durability patch coming in clutch.
Yeah, and right here it should be about 3 plates, 4 blazes in Yijin, which should give quite a bit of gold back, actually. It's a nice place for the gold to actually be allotted as well, as long as this auto attack comes through. I want to talk for 1 second about this top lane matchup because, again, Coded at one point was kind of touted, especially when I was around, as being our pure number 3, right? We always had Kiaya and we always had Hazmet as our number 1 and number 2. And outside of that, it was like, okay, Coded is the de facto number 3. And then Enper came along and really started performing in our most recent split and kind of took that mantle away a little bit. And so now, if Genius is able to be as competitive as they looked in game number 1, even if they take the 2-0 here, I do wonder, even with Enper's solid performances, if Coded can
be
capture that.
Yeah,
Nice.
the Moonfall was used, burns the flash from the Renata.
Well played right there. It's nice to see that DNK didn't just get shut out early. The Lee Sin in the last game just got completely clamped off, and this Diana is looking so much better, right? Like, it's not shut out. It didn't have to just, like, kind of absorb that initial gank at level 1. It didn't have to just fall behind immediately and accomplish basically nothing. DNK able to get quite a bit more done in this.
They try and make another play onto Blazers, who himself was trying to go onto DR1. As you can see, both those Dominuses burning. But in the end, they still live. For how action-packed this game is, the fact that we've only got 2 kills is wild.
Yeah, it's really crazy just how much have actually been attempted from both these teams. 1.5K gold lead is good for the side of SE, but it's not monumental. It's not stupendous at this point. Still a very close game between these two squads. And again, the recovery right now is just like, okay, at what point is the itemization good enough for GE? SE wants to strike a lot faster, so they're remaining active across the map just to make sure that GE can't just sit there on their heels and make sure that they can just scale up to wherever they want. And I like that SE is trying this again and again. I want to see Paulette get out and about. I haven't really seen Paulette move in these last 2 games, and on the Samumu, having this kind of like AoE and a CC to work with feels like a good option.
Coda gets thrown under the tower there, has to burn the perfect execution to get out. So cooldown-wise, that's very positive. But now DR1's in a lot of trouble. DR1 goes down, and Paulette, as you said, was on the move. Not there in time to save the mid laner, but is there in time to trade it back.
Yeah, finally you get Blazes to break something in this mid lane, because these two mid laners have just been absolutely going at it for the entirety of this game. And eventually one of them is able to actually pull a kill over top of the other in the pure one-on-one. It's only been when jungle interaction has come in that anything else has spilt over. As you can see, it's DNK who actually picks up that kill again, is being this, like, to me, he's been like the locomotive for this squad, just being able to push things forward. And so DNK having this gold is nice because he's on a champion that does that really well as well, with the Diana to set up anything that they want to accomplish.
So, Rebel, we are still sitting at a fairly close game. How do you think this one continues to play out? Where is GE looking to actually get this ahead? Because their bot lane has not moved. They've been rock steady in the bot side.
Yes, they have. I think Celebrity Paulette are going to be incredibly menacing when we get to 5-on-5s. The next Dragon or the Dragon after might be pretty telling. Second Rift Herald is another good spot, as they're going to find Dia1 here.
Yeah, he's moving on in. He's in a lot of trouble. Needs to get another Kingslayer. Can't get it in time. And now DNK's in a lot of trouble. Calls down the laser. But that's just 2 kills going over to SE.
And finally, we're operating on this margin of like using this Renekton in tandem with this Talia to make things happen. They get the massive shutdown on DNK. This is where I'm really excited to see GE now, because once again, it's Yijin to me that needs the gold. Yijin can make such a difference inside of fights like this to actually make, put out damage and be able to deny a lot of this mobility that the team has set up. And you can see that on display. This E kind of denies anything from coming through. The knockaway puts him in bad position. DNK goes diving. I'm surprised DNK didn't pop the ultimate just to try to get a trade kill on the Yijin. Maybe thinking he could get out if he decided to turn on the Blazes, or Paulette was able to get there fast enough. But I feel as though the attempted counter burst and going into Talia would have been a better option, but must have just got kind of lost in the sauce right there alongside his laning partner, as the gold has been evened up now.
It has, and I'm very worried about the fact that they've managed to stay even in gold while they have a Zeri just scaling away. Akali as well, no slouch in these team fights, has the Rift Maker, does Coated. This should be a Dragon picked up for SE. Give them 2 stacks, unless Yijin's got into save it. No, he can't smite. So it's okay. But the Dragon Snowball is still a condition here for SE, no question.
Yes.
But are they... Oh, no. Okay, well, that helps. That helps SE as well. That helps.
Yeah, it does. Well played, Enver,
so
right
where
there.
Did the overlay go?
That's a great question. There's plenty of questions that we have and not enough answers, but let's focus on one thing at a time. SE focusing on dragon stacking is going to goad in GE to fight when they want to fight. The question is whether they're doing it fast enough, because they have another 10 minutes before the next real dragon probably ends up being the potential. Infernal Drake will also win a game like this, so that's also really important. We're going to get a chance to see the topside fight is Coded versus Emperor. He must have just saw, hey, Emperor has nothing. He missed his E. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay. Yeah, it was just a little bit of misplay by Coded.
Yeah, I like the attempt from Coded, but yeah, you miss the E. Maybe you just don't go for that when it's kind of on a razor's edge like that. I don't think you need to go for that, but my, has Emperor been having a cracker start to this split? The God Emperor is truly online.
Yeah, Emperor took that 3 seed in terms of top laners away for very good reason. And I think he would be coming for a higher title if we didn't have such high opinion about Hosben and about Kiaya. But again, both of them, or at least as far as I can tell, like neither one of them had a particularly good start to the split. Emperor right now might actually just be the best top laner, at least in terms of showing that we've seen among all of these teams, which is cool to see. We do have to get him off Gnar. I do want to see him on some other champions, but other than that, I mean, he continues to make the Gnar work as a champion. Like it continues to be fine for his team as long as they collect wins and such. And right there, again, against Coded Zakali was great last split. So being able to show off like that, being able to find a solo kill, even if it is Coded's mistake, is pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. He had to execute as Blaze is in some trouble as celebrities here, but Biob able to hold it back. They can't risk that Renata ult buying way too much time. As they're just kind of faff about in this mid lane for now. The second Herald did go over to GE a little while ago, so no real objective on the map to play for right now. It's just continuing to be a bit of farming simulator.
Yeah, or I think the first big point of power that comes out from the side of GE is actually this Gore Drinker. Now you've got Hex Drinker, you've got Heal Cut, and then you've got Gore Drinker against a bunch of melee champions, means that SE is going to have a lot harder of a time trying to burst down Blazes, which is really important. Not to mention now Yijin and Slater are here in the mid lane. If they can get this charge off with the Rift Herald, it's going to be huge to get the gold into the right places here for this squad. I don't know, neither of them hit the tower, so okay, they do split a little bit of local gold, but yeah, that actually ends up just going to Yijin, who I believe was the only one that had actually had that because he was the one that dropped the Rift Herald, which is again good for the Talia. I think that's really positive to put all that gold into a member that's going to have a bunch of agency inside of fights.
Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. I just want to bring up a stat that one of our analysts, Marby, just dropped in our chat. That's 12 solo kills for Enpa. It's the second series. Wow. That's ridiculous.
It really is.
But Blazers is in a lot of trouble. He'll have to look for a solo kill just to make a 1-for-1 as he dashes forward, can't get the reset, puts up the he's actually not dead, so that will get the Diana ult burn, but the shutdown to DNK regardless.
Yeah, he did all right there. The fact that he was able to get that far into the potential play against DNK was really impressive. DNK had to run because he was out of cooldown, so he was just like, okay, don't let the Renekton hit me. He was able to get away from him with relative effect right here. This was him getting caught out of position. There's 3 members that can kind of surround. DNK lost the majority of his health bar, and then Emperor was able to get him. And you can see this is actually a great flash if you watch this, because I don't know, I think you were talking at the time when he caught it, but yeah, it was a nice little play. And then right here, again, it's DNK who's just kind of playing with his food a little bit, because Blazes has no way to actually get on top of him after the flash was burnt. This was the cool part, was the Gore Drinker Q to be able to get him to enough health that it felt like it would have been competitive, but DNK burns the ultimate, so it just doesn't matter. Not available for another fight if they do happen to take one here in a couple of seconds, but DNK's almost got it back by now.
Yeah, unfortunate. Maybe if it had been 30 seconds later, that would have made a somewhat difference for the Dragon fight. Unfortunately, the timing doesn't quite work out. Nope. It is going to be an all fair Dragon fight, and I think this is one that GE do really need to fight. I don't think you want to let SE move up to Soul Point. I don't think you want to give them that potential win condition. You're sitting about 1,000 gold behind. I don't think you care about that very much. Your Zeri has her first item. Your Akali has her Rift Maker, 2 items on Yijin. I think they feel plenty strong. It's just going to be about navigating around the big teamfight ultimates of Diana and Amumu.
Yeah, I feel as though but BOB is going to need a good ultimate here in order to actually help this out, because if this is a one fight for GE, if they get the Dragon especially and win the fight, this is a massive turning point for this team, whereas SE, again, this feels like the breaking point for them as well, where getting the Dragon is really important to try to flex onto GE. They don't need to necessarily go for this, but the fight afterwards, again, if you lose your gold advantage, all of a sudden you start to get pushed off this.
Yijin can't get close, doesn't really go for it. It's coded deep into the backside. It's going to be a Renata ult onto one only, and it's only Paulette, not really good enough. They will be able to turn it around. No, the Fate's Call does take him back. There's a stolen Renata ult, much better coming out of DR1. As they dive on in, he goes incredibly low, can't slay any kings. So 1 kill has been picked up. Enpa on the run will be able to hop over the wall. So it's 1 kill traded for the Dragon. You take that every day of the week.
Yeah, you absolutely do, because now SE have the possibility of grabbing that Infernal Soul and really making their composition, which I think does have some difficulty scaling, into a legitimate menace, because that means DA1 and DNK, their initial impact, even Gnar's initial impact inside of a fight, is going to do so much more upfront damage that it's easy to clean afterwards with Celebrity, with anybody else who is able to actually kind of finish up damage there. I actually don't know that it pure wins them the game, especially if they stay close enough, because again, it's really difficult to try to find the correct spacing against this Talia and against this, this Zeri. And you can see that on display in this fight. Look how far back Yijin can be without really finding an effect. Look how far back Slater can stand without really finding anything right there. Slater has taken 0 damage, and only just now is the health bar being dropped from Yijin, and it's because of the stolen Renata ultimate that was forcing his team to hit him more than anything else, which is important to track in the later portions of this. But again, accessibility is still a problem for SE that I don't know the Infernal Soul does full take, but it is their win condition they've set for themselves, and they are on that premise right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely not the silver bullet, but it definitely helps. Maybe it's the gun, but it's not the bullet.
It's like you can shoot a werewolf like 10 times with like 1 magazine, and this isn't a silver bullet to just drop it, but you do get like 100 more magazines, right? Like you just keep dumping bullets into the other team if you wanted to.
Like eventually, like it doesn't
eventually
matter.
It's gotta die, right? Like it's gotta.
Yeah. But, oh, hello, we've got a bit of a scrap in the Baron pit as Biob has been completely caught out by Dia1, but a flash away will keep him safe for now. Dia steals and uses the Dominus to keep himself safe, and the rest of GE reinforcing will save their support.
Yeah, right there, actually, I think fishing a little bit. Thankfully, Yijin didn't cut out, because if he uses the seismic shift right there, I think DNK can actually turn on him on the right angle and not get caught up by the E that Yijin would have thrown out, and it would have been an immediate assassination onto the jungler and almost certainly a Baron attempt coming out from his team. So it's Yijin, I think, making a solid decision right there. That or just being like, I'll just throw a Q and throw some poke damage into one. BOB losing the flash isn't the biggest of deals, outside of like DNK aiming for them so that they can't pop the ultimate inside of a game like this, is really the only way I see that actually having too much of an effect. So,
there
it is.
Him in the end.
there it is.
For how many times I think I've called, Biob caught out, that's his first death.
Mm-hmm.
He's been playing with fire, but he's only just gotten burned.
It's a very bold call that when the rest of your team leaves the mid lane to actually walk up and contest the vision right here. Yeah, look at this. Like, there's no one here, man. Like, what are you doing? Oh, that's smart. Yeah. Great.
Fate's call is used. Yeah, that was a fantastic E. They get onto Yijin, who goes gold to buy time. He's taking so much damage, he immediately goes down. There's nothing he can do. SE picking up another kill. I think it will deter them from the Baron, but nonetheless, more and more gold into their pockets.
Yeah, the important part, once again, is you have to have access to both backliners, Yijin and Slater. They still didn't have access to Slater. The ultimates were available, too. I'm surprised they didn't try to force more onto that, especially with DNK's flash, but they don't want to potentially throw underneath that mid tower, give a bunch of kills over to Slater, and then effectively lose this game just on the scaling more. I like that SE, they're playing within the bounds of respect against the side of GE right now, right? They haven't been able to push their lead any further than just about 2,000 gold at this point, but they still have a composition that's fit enough for team fighting, even at this point, unlike last game, where they lost a good amount of that scaling with the Lee Sin inside of composition. So I do like that they're willing to put faith in themselves to be able to win out a game like this in the long run, if they're contesting with this Infernal Soul. As you can see, though, GE's not going to take that one lying down. They're going to try to push back Vision. They're the first ones into this river. They're going to do their best to make sure that they've got mid control as well, which is going to make it easy for them to try to step in and contest this so that it isn't just a pure win from SE.
The thing that SE also has to deal with as this game continues to go on is actually having Dia1 having an impact. So far, he really hasn't. He was such a star player in the matchup against Garm, alongside Enpa, and in the past, before his break, has been a star. But we'll have to come back to it as in they go. But Paulette just gets immediately blown up, can't even pop the Amumu ultimate, 15 seconds before a dragon. What did he just do? Now the wall keeps him trapped in. Celebrity has to flash away, coded, surfs on in, still has the mark on Dia1. Just has to get back out, but they don't really need any more kills. Renata ult will buy even more space. That's just going to be Dragon. Infernal Soul denied.
You do have Yeah, Palette's going way too far forward, trying to hope, maybe to set up a Gnar ultimate, maybe to set up DNK and DL1 to jump in, or even a Fate's Call to try to pull him out, but none of that ends up coming through. SE, they're still around!
Oh no! Why are you still here? They're using a teleport. Emperor's going low, manages to survive. DL1 on the front line, has a Renata ult, throws it out, will tag onto 1 or 2, but that's not going to be enough. Oh, the Diana ult only onto 1, and it doesn't even get the kill on the Slayer. DL1's low, he gets taken down by the Zeri. They get trade back onto Renekton, but that is not who matters at the moment. Slater has a bailout, but will fall regardless. They pick up these 2 kills on the backside, but this just feels like an unnecessary passage of play.
It does. If they can get Baron, it will be worth it, though. DNK and Celebrity is still available. Palette is also available. They've got enough tools. Yijin is going to try to cut them off. Yeah, if he's able to find a fantastic shove here, that's massive!
Oh, that's a massive one onto 2! Pops the shield bow. I might have popped off a bit too much. I got very excited.
No, yeah,
But,
That's a huge save from Yijin, though. That was warranted excitement, maybe not necessarily for the damage that came out. This was another gorgeous seismic shove to be able to push into this. It was surprising how little they did, but again, ultimates were already down from GE, so I'm surprised they took this in the first place, and they did a really good job just being able to kind of isolate the 2 that went into the pit and only give up the 1 on the front line, which I think was DL1 in the grand scheme of things. As Celebrity just kind of threw spears into everybody. But again, Yijin with the hero play at the very tail end of this one, dropping the health bars of DNK and Celebrity so low that they can't actually walk into Baron Pit, was the massive play right here. You can see right now they're kind of on that brink, as we were talking about, as we jump into some fine Vietnamese gentlemen being able to be our casters on the other side of things. But yeah, a well-saved play, and again, a dragon taken here to make sure that GE remain in the game.
Yeah, obviously we don't know quite what's happened. Evidently there is a pause. We don't even see the sepia rift. We just come out of the replays straight to our lovely Vietnamese gentleman. And then, of course, you have to come over to us. This has been a scrappy passage of play.
Yeah.
What do you actually think of the state of the game at the moment, Rebel?
It's so close. It's like unrealistically close. And it's nice because it's such a balancing act of a combination of, like, again, range advantage versus gold advantage versus big ult value when you have multiple multi-person ultimates from a couple of members of both teams. Your tracking resources is one of the biggest things on both teams, right? If all 5 ultimates are down on the side of Genius Esports, they can't really be in the river and take a 5-on-5 if they don't get a perfect assassination against somebody. And you saw right there at the end that SE was able to punish that when all 5 their ultimates are down, they can jump in and they themselves can be the aggressor. Even when they're down position, even when they don't have a full member on their team, they're still able to make magic happen, which is really miraculous. Both these teams are really, really good at understanding, I think, the bounds of what their champions and what their compositions are kind of designed to do. This play doesn't look like VCS of old. It looks far more intelligent than I'm accustomed to, Carrix, and I don't understand it. We're in a new territory of players thinking about what they're doing sometimes, and it's kind of incredible to me.
Yeah, it is very different. We are back onto Summoner's Rift, thankfully. We didn't miss very much. Look, little technical issues happen. It's no big deal. It is very different. 15 kills at 26 minutes. Mm-hmm. Seems like it must have been an absolute glacial pace of a game, but it really hasn't been. These teams have been going at it, but as you said, it's been considered. There has been thought given. So when we start seeing a little bit of the old VCS Unga Bunga coming in, it's almost catching me off guard.
Yeah, it's also much more fun, right? Like, it's when you get only Unga Bunga, then you start criticizing and being like, oh, they shouldn't be fighting here, they shouldn't be fighting here. But when you get these little jumps in, like, aggression, or these little jumps in, like, I have an opportunity to make an individual play inside of, okay, the teams are setting up properly, it does get more interesting, because then it's more personality, more flavor that we get these from these players of being these massive aggressors, having faith in themselves to make these incredible outplays that otherwise, other leagues might not play. Every other league's playing at a snail's pace at, like, 45-minute games to make sure that they're just, like, aren't losing. But this is not the case. It's always the case that VCS teams are willing to play for a win, and that even pops up when we're playing more methodically.
It 100% does, and if MSI proved anything, it's that it has merit. The top 6 at MSI can't take that away from the region. As a bit of a push down the mid lane, well done there by Yejin, tagging DNK, popping his spell shield as well. Really important stuff there. But it's just posturing back and forth at the moment.
Yes, it is. And it's difficult, I think, also, again, Talia, if you're able to set up ahead of time in preemptiveness against SE's composition and throw down that E, it makes it so hard, again, with all these dashes to try to close space if you're on the side of SE. And so again, I'm always looking at where Yijin's position. I'm always looking at what he's doing with those abilities because there's such an important value to this team to be able to buy space, to be able to zone away and make sure that SE is at an arm's reach for Slater, at an arm's reach for themselves to make sure that they don't have any of that problem. I also want to see Coded step up. So far, Coded has had some really rough instances of missing the E, not being able to close a kill. Here he is attempting to find something against Emperor.
Yeah, but Emperor's just a little bit too quick. And look at this on the other side, the stolen Renata ultimate. But look at the spheres being stacked up. Somebody has to pull him in immediately, try to get some safety.
Nice.
For Paulette, but he goes down to the zap from the Zeri. Slater now surfing on forward. This is dangerous. Celebrity wants him, needs to stack up the spears. Can't quite finish him off. And now that's a disaster because SE are in the wrong part of the map. Ooh. They're taking so much damage. Coded going so low. Actually goes down to the last bit of damage from Celebrity. So the SE win out on the backside of that play and get a 2-for-1.
Okay. E should be more than enough to be able to actually stop this.
Oh boy, look at this. They surf their way in. Dia1, he's trying to get it done. He can't quite manage to finish off Blazers, but they do get Yijin, and that should open up the Baron. The health bars are really low, though. I think it's a bit too dangerous.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit careful here. Yeah, BOB doesn't have the ultimate, and Slater had to fall back right there, and I think they're going to find an opportunity to get a Baron right now, especially with TP. It's going to be easy enough. Yeah, easy enough to actually capture this one. As Dragon is going to be the play coming out from Genius, just to make sure that they don't give up another Infernal Soul point, but this is going to be that breaking point of 4-5k gold that I said that SE should be able to win team fights on consistently without making mistakes, right? If you're not giving something up, if you're not losing tools unnecessarily, this is where that comfort zone should actually come from.
They want to fight this.
Oh, this feels so
GE
risky,
didn't get there in time. They didn't get there in time.
They didn't. No, you're right. Okay. This might set up game 5.
You have to go for the steal. You can't. Yijin only just respawned. This game 5. God, how many points is this?
Game 3. Game 5 of the day. Game 3 of the series. My bad.
Absolutely. SE, I think they had such a slow early game, and I was really worried for them, but they have played this mid game and now into the late game so well. They're 5k ahead. They have an Infernal Soul. Celebrity has just ascended to another level. They're looking great.
So this was the initial catch, which was onto, of course, the support. That ultimate was actually super valuable for knocking what looked like Paulette out of the fight. And Slater did a good job just not going down right here, being able to bring down Paulette. And I thought this was going to be the opportunity for this team to actually find more. But so many members just dance on such a weirdly low health bar. This is where Slater gets knocked down. Celebrity almost gets the kill. And now it's back as we're live in a fight.
Alive as Blazers is getting dove, but he manages to survive. It's only going to be a BOB going down. Oh no, Celebrity kills his teammate. Takes down the Diana. Hate to see that. A little bit of friendly fire as the gas makes him confused. 1-for-1, but SE have full control. In fact, it was 2-for-1. Yijin was already dead. My mistake. The base has been broken open, and SE are looking absolutely resplendent.
Yeah, there were a handful of moments during the course of this game that it seemed like GE was within reaching distance of a win. They were probably, maybe a little bit of damage shy of a couple of fights going really heavily in their favor. And now they're going to try one more time.
Fate's Call gets him to safety. Dia1 dives in, has the second half of that Akali ultimate still to use. Needs to slay a king, can't. Taken down by Slater, but he's getting borne down on by Celebrity. Can he survive the bailout? You can't go back to your fountain, you have to fight, but he doesn't get the kill. And this is SE now. With the numbers advantage in the enemy base, Enper lands a wallet but gets yoinked towards the fountain. Paulette not looking like he can find a way in, but look at these cannon minions firing away at the tower. SE just need to buy time, buy space. Enper very low, should go down. No, he doesn't, he lives. Yijin charging forward, gets a knockback onto Celebrity, will get the GA. They need to kill him when he gets up though, it's very, very critical, but he immediately flashes, he's got the hops. Hourglass is good, but Coded is dead. Down goes Yijin as well. It's Blazers sporting in 5 that will stop them winning the game, but SE continue to impress with the mechanics.
Really, really close margins inside of a game like this. They are at 1.5, 2,000 gold basically the entirety of this game. The Dragon stacking ends up working in their favor after that Baron fight goes so heavily in their lane. It's just catching out one member, 2 members here, living for much longer than I think GE is really prepared for in any fight, as this was the play that kind of led everything off. Well played from DNK, gets an immediate burst to make sure that Yijin's out of the fight. BOB basically has no effect right now outside of the one ultimate that ends up getting DNK, but the 2-for-1 is absolutely absolutely worth it when they've got this Infernal Soul and you don't really have anybody that does this massive amount of damage. You're hoping Slater can carry this fight, but he still feels like he's just one item short, as it feels like they have been pretty much all game.
Yeah, they're really, really just on the edge. Another couple hundred damage anyway, and this game would be completely different for GE. But no, here they are, 10,000 gold down, facing an Infernal Soul. And I still feel like this game is over by any means. It still feels like it's on an absolute knife's edge, Rebel.
It still feels like it's winnable from the side of GE, which is crazy. SE has just completely turned their chance of winning from like basically almost a 50-50 to a much better chance by a significant portion, but that doesn't mean that anything is there. Again, I want to talk about range disparity. If an ultimate or a flash goes awry from the side of SE, it's still possible they just get kited to death by Yijin and by Slater. If an assassination comes in from Coded and you're able to get one person just completely removed, that's a big tool from the side of SE that's going to have to be taken out of the fight. Got to see if they can find their way onto those members to really put the pin in this one. Because right now they're blitzing down top lane looking for this.
Yeah, this is going to be another inhibitor falling. This isn't a sustainable way for them to play. A TP coming in from Coded. This feels like the last chance saloon. Dia1 will lock him down with the Abscond Abduct. Steals away the ultimate. Dia1 has to go gold immediately. Can use that Akali ult still as trying to use it as a bit of an escape. Blaze is extremely low. They can't go through those Toblerones. Enpa on the front line taking a lot of damage, but doesn't really stick. This Natu tanky. And SE completely fend them off. They've got the reset from Dia1, but he has teleport available. This should be the third base tower being broken.
Oh, it should. Easy enough here.
Exactly.
Be held.
Doesn't matter. The tower goes down. In goes Blazes immediately. Nard into the wall will get followed up. There's a big Amumu ultimate as well. They try and use that Renata ultimate to buy space, but it just doesn't do enough. It is all on Slater, and he's basically 1v5. And Rebel, those aren't odds you can win. The third inhibitor will fall. They've just got to wait for the minions now, but it does not matter because SE will be taking down game 2. The return of Celebrity was the return of the chickens. As they burn the geniuses down, they need to take another couple of tests to get into game number 3. And our games today have been absolute slobber knockers.
Absolutely.
We're going to have all 6 of them.
We really will.